Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Tom.
Oh, we're going to talk about psychology today.
Yay!
Psychology is the study of our mind and why people do the things they do. It's very interesting because our minds are kind of a mystery sometimes to some of us.
That's right. And of course, it's very important to know some things about psychology because, we want to manipulate our friends and we want to manipulate consumers to buy our products and stuff like that. Well, no, I'm being kind of cynical here, but indeed, psychology does help us in life. It does kind of help us explain why people do the things they do. But more importantly, we want to know why people are doing things to us and why they are treating us a certain way. And we're talking about rude shopkeepers. They're not just lazy or terrible people. It turns out that they're being rude on purpose in order to get you to buy something. Go figure.
Yeah, shopkeepers or people who work in a store, the sales ladies, the salesmen, sometimes they can be really rude. We're going to look at why stores are the way they are. Some of the service is bad that we get in stores. And even the music that they play in stores is supposed to manipulate us, get us to do what they want us to do. And it might affect your buying decisions, believe it or not. We're going to read through our article and then we'll talk about how we might be being manipulated. In the movie Pretty Women, Vivian, played by Julia Roberts, tries to go shopping in an upscale boutique in Los Angeles, California. However, the snooty saleswomen immediately refuse to help her because of the provocative way she's dressed. Though Vivian insists on spending her money there, she's ultimately kicked out of the boutique. But why would Vivian want to shop in a place where the clerks treated her so rudely? Research has shown that a rude salesperson in a high-end store does not hinder customers. In fact, rude service causes customers with low self-esteem to spend more. Being rejected by the salesperson actually intensifies the customer's desire to be associated with the coveted brand. Indeed, retailers know that they're able to influence shoppers with techniques like this, as psychology plays a highly influential role in the science of shopping. A store's lighting, temperature, scent, and even the color of paint on the walls are all carefully selected and arranged to create a comfortable atmosphere for the shopper. For instance, to make a crowded store seem less claustrophobic, retailers might choose a scent that triggers the feeling of a spacious environment. These retail atmospherics create pleasing emotional responses in shoppers, discouraging them from thinking rationally about their purchases. The genre of music being played in a shop also alters a shopper's buying decisions. Popular music, for example, encourages impulsive shopping, while unfamiliar music leads to more carefully processed decision-making. Likewise, customers who enjoy the music they hear tend to lose track of time, which increases the likelihood that they'll spend money. The next time you find yourself considering a purchase, look around. Do you really need what you've got in your hands? Or is it simply that the store is designed to make you think that way?
Okay, it's our unit on psychology, all about the way we think. And we're talking about a store and why you buy things. And the title here is The Store Made Me Buy It, I Swear. Sometimes we say, the devil made me do it. In other words, I can't really be held responsible for my own actions. The devil came in and made me do that. But in this case, I bought this really expensive Gucci bag. I didn't really need it, and I spent 150,000 NT dollars on it. And my husband only makes 60,000 NT dollars a month, but I still bought it anyway. It's not my fault. The store made me do it. I swear, it's not my fault. You cannot blame me.
I had no control over myself. Yeah, that's crazy. Well, here is a scenario. We're going to set the scene here at the beginning by talking about the very, very popular movie Pretty Woman that was made back in the 80s, I think.
Sounds right.
Julia Roberts, she played a prostitute in this movie. It's called a Cinderella story because she ends up with the rich guy at the end. So anyway, here's the movie. Her character's name is Vivian. And again, it's Julia Roberts, and she tries to go shopping in an upscale boutique in Los Angeles, California. If something's upscale, it means it's expensive, and you're going to have to pay money. If you go to an upscale department store, an upscale boutique, a boutique is a very small store. It's a very small shop that features usually clothes that were designed by designers. So the designer labels, designer clothes are much more expensive than just say, clothes that you can pick up at a big department store where everybody shops. So this is an expensive store she's in.
That's right. If you go to Taipei 101 or the Breeze Center here in Taipei, they are filled with upscale boutiques selling those high-end brands. And, of course, this is in L.A., California, and she's looking around, and the snooty saleswomen immediately refuse to help her because of the provocative way she's dressed. If you're dressed provocatively or in a provocative way, especially for women, you're kind of looking as if you're trying to attract the attention of men, especially in a sexual way. So you might have a low-cut shirt or something, a very short skirt or something.
She had hot shorts on, short shorts that were very short, and these really great boots that came up to her thighs. Thigh-high boots, we call them.
Indeed. So, of course, women who are representatives in the government will probably never dress in a provocative way, whereas women who work in different kinds of industries, maybe like the Binlang beauties, Binlang Xixi, they will often dress in a provocative way. So here, they refuse to help her. These saleswomen are snooty. Snooty is a word that means you're showing disapproval or contempt or hatred toward others because you think you are better than they are. You're being kind of snobby to them. You make a lot of money. You dress well. You've been to all the countries in Europe. You spend your summers in the Riviera. So, yes, you can be snooty to people who work in restaurants.
Tom brought up a great word. Snobby is another adjective. It describes someone who is a snob. A snob looks down on other people because they think they're better than the person that they're looking at. So snobby, snooty, they're very similar. You think you're better than other people. They refuse to help her because, well, she looks like she is a prostitute, and she was, of course, a prostitute. So Vivian insists on spending her money there, but she's ultimately, or at the end, she's kicked out of the boutique. They actually won't help her. They don't understand that she actually does have a lot of money with her because her boyfriend actually gave her his credit cards, but they don't know that, and they just missed out on making a lot of money because you get a percentage of the clothes that you sell. So you make a lot of money if you sell a lot of clothes. But this is a question we're asking. Why would Vivian want to shop in a place where they treated her so rudely? Yeah, that's a good question. I'm actually not like that. If I'm treated rudely, I don't go back. So let's look a little closer at the psychology behind this choice.
Well, the psychology probably suggests that you don't have low self-esteem, Stephanie. So, of course, if you run across a rude shopkeeper, you're going to leave the store.
Yeah, me. Yeah.
But here it says, research has shown that a rude salesperson, whether it's a salesman or a saleswoman in a high-end store, does not hinder customers. Okay, to hinder means to get in somebody's way, to slow them down, to basically stop them. There are lots of rocks hindering the road today. Gee, what are we going to do? They must have fallen off a cliff or something. It's hard to drive along this coastal road with all these rocks hindering the road. But in any case here, a salesperson in a high-end store being rude does not hinder customers. It would do it to you. You'd probably leave the store. I'm going to take my business elsewhere, but I guess most customers kind of expect rude service, according to this logic here.
I would also have gotten fired. I worked in a department store and we couldn't be rude to people. Well, these high-end stores, they have an attitude because they work with these very, very wealthy clients, customers every day. So they think they're in that social circle, I guess. We're calling it a high-end store because they sell expensive things. Low-end sells cheaper things. So, in fact, it says rude service causes customers with low self-esteem to spend more. They've done a study on this. It's very interesting. Your self-esteem is your confidence in your own abilities, in your own worth. Are you worth much? If you have good self-esteem, you think you have a lot of talent and you can do things, you can accomplish things. But actually, there are a lot of people out there in the world with very low self-esteem. And if they run into rude salespeople, they'll actually spend more. That's very interesting.
Yes, according to this research, that is what happens if you have a low opinion of yourself and you run into a rude salesperson. You're likely to spend more money. And being rejected by the salesperson actually intensifies the customer's desire to be associated with the coveted brand. If you are associated with something, that means you have some sort of relationship with that thing. If somebody thinks of one thing, then they think of another thing. They are associated with each other. So if basically this is saying here that if the salesperson is rude to you, you're going to go, you're being rude to me. You think I'm a poor slob? Well, I'm going to buy that Gucci bag and see what you're going to do because I want to be associated with that brand. Me, Tom, Gucci bag. See, I'm rich like you.
If you covet something, that's a verb. It means you want something that somebody else has, that you can't have, that you really want. And some of these brands are really coveted, like LV is very coveted. We're going to talk more about this, but first, guys, we're going to listen to our Chinese teacher.
Hello everyone, my name is Tina. 我们今天要讲的主题是跟 shopping 有关。不知道你有没有看过 Pretty Woman 麻雀变凤凰的这部电影呢？里面有一个经典的场景，女主角 Vivian 坚持要买东西，可是却被人家给踢出来了。我们来看一下第一个空格的句子。Though Vivian blank one spending her money there, she's ultimately kicked out of the boutique. 到底发生什么事呢？我们来看一下第一题的 A 选项 objects to 反对 B occupies herself with 忙碌于 C insists on 坚持 D thinks little of看清。其实 Vivian 很想要在那家商店花钱买东西，但是却因为穿着不佳被人家给踢出来了。所以呢，第一题我们的标准答案可以选 C insists on 就是有坚持要做某件事情的意思。第二个空格的句子谈到But why would Vivian want to shop in a place blank to the clerks treated her so rudely? 为什么 Vivian 会想要在这样子的地点来购物呢？而这个地点我们要补充说明，在这样的地方，店员是如此粗鲁的对待他。在这里呢，要跟地方有关系，后面又是一个完整的句子，我们可以放的是地方副词的关系代名词，所以第二题标准答案就选择 B 选项的 where。 其实呢，买东西是有一些心理学的研究的。在第三个空格的句子提到Being rejected by the salesperson actually blank 3 the customer's desire to be associated with the coveted brand. 其实呢，在这里提到 being rejected， 如果你被这个销售人员拒绝的话，其实呢会怎么样？然后这个顾客的欲望要能够呢更与他所渴望的品牌有所连结。第三题的 A 选项 intensifies 增强加强 B exaggerates 夸张 C flourishes 茂盛 D overwhelms 战胜征服，因为你被店员给拒绝，反而呢更增强了你想要买东西的欲望，这就是心理学上的看法。所以第3题的标准答案我们就选择 A, intensifies.
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay, everybody, let's continue our lesson for today. We're talking about psychology today, and we're trying to explain why some salespeople in high-end stores are rude to their customers. At least some of them are. They may be preying on people who have low self-esteem. According to this research, they are rude to customers if they have low self-esteem because they will intensify their desire to be associated with that brand that they covet so much. Now, indeed, retailers know that they're able to influence shoppers with techniques like this, as psychology plays a highly influential role in the science of shopping. That is true if you are a retailer. That means you're a person who is trying to sell something, especially if you're in a store, whether it be a high-end store or a small shop in a night market, you are a retailer.
That's right. Well, let's move on here. It says they're able to influence shoppers with techniques like this. As psychology plays a highly influential role in the science of shopping, if something is influential, it means it has an impact on you. It has an effect that makes you want to do something or not do something. For example, my parents had a really big influential role in my life. What they said and what they advised me to do had large impact on the decisions that I made. Well, there's something called the science of shopping. As with many industries out there, they have people doing research. So they want to find out what makes consumers or customers buy things. And then that's how they arrange their stores. For example, a store's lighting, how bright it is, the color of the light. Is it white or is it a little bit more blue or green? These things matter to customers. The temperature of the store is hot. I don't stay inside. I don't want to buy anything. I want to get out. It's too hot for me. The scent is what it smells like. And usually when you see a scent, it can be pleasant, typically. Odor, O-D-O-R, is not a good scent. So use odor if it's a bad smell. Scent, usually it gives you the feeling that it's a pleasant smell.
Yeah, I love the scent of freshly cut grass on a summer's day. That is such a wonderful smell.
I love that smell too.
And also the color of the paint on the walls. They're all carefully selected, and they're also arranged in different places to create a comfortable atmosphere for the shopper, or at least an atmosphere that gets those shoppers to buy things instead of saying, oh, no thanks, I'm just looking.
Yeah.
You want them to actually buy something. Now, for instance, or here's an example, to make a crowded store seem less claustrophobic, retailers might choose a scent that triggers the feeling of a spacious environment. Okay, so you might have a crowded store. Maybe the rent for the store is kind of high, so you can only afford this small, cramped store. And, of course, if a customer is in there, they might start to feel claustrophobic. If you're claustrophobic, that means you're kind of afraid of being enclosed in spaces. Claustrophobia is actually an actual disease that people...
medical condition.
Yeah, medical condition, that's a better term, that people suffer from. They don't like going in caves, for example.
Or elevators.
They take the stairs all the time, or they simply stay out of buildings. And claustrophobic could happen to anybody. We don't like being in small spaces. It kind of makes us feel threatened. So the retailers or the owners of the store might choose a scent. They might use those, what are those called? Those things that you can kind of burn some kind of oil or something.
Incense? Essence?
Yeah, there's a term for it. My wife's friend used to sell those things. They kind of... It's aromatherapy, I guess. You can buy different kind of scents and put them in this sort of burner that makes the place smell that way. So they might want to choose a scent that triggers the feeling of a spacious environment, like the smell of pine trees, for example. People will think, oh, I'm in a forest in British Columbia.
Or the smell of the ocean. You know, there's a lot more room on a beach than, say, a crowded store. So this scent or the pleasant smell they choose can trigger the feeling of a spacious environment. So it can actually get their brain to think they're in a bigger space. If you trigger something, it's something that happens, could be an event or a thing. It causes something to begin. So it can actually trigger or cause that person's brain to think, oh, yeah, I feel like I'm on a beach, or I feel like I'm in a beautiful forest. It's kind of interesting, but smell does affect our brains, and our brains affect how we respond to things. Now, these retail atmospherics, that's what they call this study, this research they're doing on how to make the store's atmosphere get the customer or client or consumer to buy more. They actually study this. It's called retail atmospherics. They create pleasing emotional responses in shoppers, discouraging them from thinking rationally about their purchases. This makes me laugh. If you think rationally, you're being logical. For example, I have a lot of pants. So if I'm in a store and they're selling pants, they have a great sale on pants. If I'm thinking rationally, I think I have enough. I don't need another pair. But if I'm not thinking rationally, I might think, oh, I don't know. I might need that shade of blue. I know I have 6 pairs of blue pants, but this shade, no. So rationally thinking is very important if you don't want to spend too much money or blow your budget.
And retailers know about people like you.
I know.
And they try to manipulate you with, again, the color of the place, the smell, maybe putting mirrors in there so it looks bigger or something like that.
True.
They do that to get you to buy something that you don't really need. And yeah, you don't want to think rationally. You want to be irrational and buy a bunch of junk and pile it up in your house and drive other people crazy. Now, the genre of music being played in a shop also alters a shopper's buying decisions. So it's not just the smell or the color. We've also got some music here. If you go into a store, sometimes they're playing music. It can alter your decisions. To alter just means to change something. So maybe you went in there just thinking you were going to take a look, but if you hear a certain song, then hopefully the retailer wants you to actually buy something.
Now, here it says popular music, things that are on the top 40 list, for example, that are being played on the radio. It can actually encourage impulsive shopping. If you're an impulsive shopper, you buy things without really thinking them through. That's a dangerous thing to be as an impulsive shopper. So be careful. Think things through. Don't just, make a snap decision and be spontaneous or impulsive, because you might spend more than you planned on. And familiar music you haven't heard before, leads to more carefully processed decision-making. They don't want that. They don't want you to think through things carefully and come to a really logical, wise decision.
So they're not going to play some weird stuff by Stravinsky or something like that you've never heard before. They're going to play some Madonna, Michael Jackson, Lady Gaga stuff that you've heard before, and you'll feel comfortable, and then you'll buy that dress or that blue pants that you don't really need. Okay, so likewise, if they enjoy the music they hear, they might lose track of time, which means they kind of lose the sense of time. They forget what time it is, and so they spend more time in the store. The longer they spend in there, the more likely it is they'll buy something, and this will increase the likelihood that they'll spend money. Likelihood just means the possibility that they'll actually buy something.
Yeah, so you got to be careful. And here's our final piece of advice. The next time you find yourself considering a purchase, hey, look around. Is someone trying to manipulate you? Do you really need what you've got in your hands? Or is it simply that the store is designed to make you think that you must have that thing you have in your hands? Be careful. Don't be manipulated. Know that they're using your psychology or psychology against you. Right now, guys, someone who never uses our psychology to trick us is our Chinese teacher. Let's listen.
其实零售商 retailers 会用许多的技巧呢，来让顾客掏出钱包买东西。那么举例来说，我们来看到第4个空格 For instance, to make a crowded store seem less claustrophobic, retailers might choose a scent that triggers the feeling of an blank for environment. 在这里提到，其实商店是非常的 crowded， 可是要让这个拥挤的商店看起来比较不是那么的会导致人有幽闭恐惧症的话呢，这些 retailers 他们就会选择一种气味，这气味是 triggers，引发怎么样子的感觉？当然咯，拥挤的相反呢，就是很宽敞，让你呢可以安心放心的购物，就不会觉得有幽闭恐惧症发生的可能。所以第4题我们可以选择 A 选项的 spacious， 就有宽敞的意思。接着第5个空格的句子提到 Popular music, for example, encourages impulsive shopping.While blank 5, music leads to more carefully processed decision making. 这里提到，如果是流行音乐，就可以鼓吹这些顾客呢有这种冲动性的购物行为。While 是比较两者之间的差异，一个是 popular music， 另外一个当然就是你不是那么熟悉知道的音乐，所以第5题可以选择 D 选项的 unfamiliar。这里提到 unfamiliar music， 你不太熟悉的音乐呢，就可能导致你会很仔细的做决策，就不愿意花钱买东西咯。Likewise, customers who enjoy the music they hear tend to lose track of time, blank 6, the likelihood that they'll spend money. 同样的，那些享受音乐的人呢，他可能会 lose track of time， 忘记了时间。那么这样一来，如果你有前面句子所陈述的内容，忘记时间，他当然就比较有可能会花钱咯。所以在英文的文法上呢，我们可以用逗号 which 来代替前面句子所陈述的内容，这样一来就增加了可能性。所以标准答案就选择 D 选项的 which increases。最后一个空格提到 Do you really need blank 7 you've got in your hands? Or is it simply that the store is designed to make you think that way?所以下次买东西的时候，你要仔细的思考一下，你真的有需要你手中所拿的那个东西吗？在英文里面第7个空格，我们可以选择 B 选项的 What 就等于 the thing which， 你真的想要你抓在手里的那个东西吗？所以第7题正确答案就选择 B 选项。以上就是今天的课文讲解，谢谢收听。
Okay, that brings us to the end of our program for today. It's been such a joy having you with us. And hey, by hearing our wonderful voices, we hope that you want to buy the product that we're selling, but we're not actually selling anything here, so we're just talking to you to try to help you with your English. So please join us again next time if that is your goal. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.